Hi, I'm Kane from Floor Wrap, and today I'm going to show you how to wrap a flat panel door. Once we've cleaned and primed the door, the first step is to cut the material. We've cut this vinyl with around 50mm excess on the top, bottom and both sides of the door. This will give us enough excess to wrap the side and 10mm around onto the back of the door. We've chosen a black wood grain vinyl to give you some good contrast and to make it easier for you to see the processes that we're going to go through. Next step is to turn the vinyl over, and we're going to remove a section of the backing paper which lines the adhesive on the back of the vinyl. Slowly work this up, making sure that you don't rip the vinyl. So we're going to take around 100mm of backing and we're going to fold it over like this. Use one of your fingers, don't pull on the adhesive on the back of the vinyl, but just run your finger down to crease the backing paper so that it stays nice and flat. We can now turn the vinyl back over, and we want to hold the section which has the adhesive on it, and we're going to level it up so it's in the middle of the door and pull the vinyl back so that there's enough excess to cover the end and the sides of the vinyl. We need to check this all the way down to make sure that we're nice and straight. And one more check on this end, and I can see that I've got enough vinyl there. Once I've got my vinyl in position, I'm going to pin this material in place so that it can't move, and I'm going to use the felt side of the squeegee. I'm going to start from the middle on a 45 degree, so my squeegee is not straight, I'm not pushing this way, and it's not upright, I'm not pushing up and down. I'm in between those two, and I'm going to squeegee up and start from the middle and squeegee down. I'm just going to turn the squeegee around and do the same process towards the edges of the door, just so it pushes the air out. Now that we've pinned this section of vinyl, I can pull here, I can manoeuvre this section of vinyl, I can pull the backing paper away without it coming off the door, and I know that when I lay this piece of vinyl, we're still going to be square on the door. I'm going to roll the vinyl up, remove some of the backing paper, and hold onto the backing and the roll at the same time. I'm going to use my squeegee and start the process again from the middle on a 45 degree angle, not too tight with the vinyl. Allow the vinyl to lose some of its tension as you squeegee. We're going to start up and down. The aim here is to have overpassing strokes. What I mean by that is I don't want to start here and then next squeegee here and miss a section of vinyl. This is how you leave bubbles under vinyl wrap doors. We're going to repeat the process again, half and half on what we've squeegeed, half on what we've not. And then going to repeat the process. Pull back, remove a bit more of the backing paper, hold on to the backing paper and the vinyl, and squeegee up and down, up and down, up and down, until we get to the other side of the door. I like to go over the edges one more time, just to make sure that the edges are nicely stuck down. Final step before we do the corners and the edges is to just have a feel over the door, just to make sure that you've got no bubbles or imperfections. If there is any bubbles, you can pierce these now and get rid of them. Once we've squeegeed the top, we then need to use our thumb to find the corner of the door. Once we've found the corner of the door, we're going to use the very point of our knife, just past the corner of the door, and we're going to cut out on a diagonal angle like this. So we've got two pieces of vinyl cut diagonally from the corner of the door. We're then going to repeat this on all four corners. The next step is to fold the edges of the door over. For this, I'm going to use a felt block. It's a soft type of squeegee that allows me to put pressure on the edges of the door. You can also use your thumb, a piece of fabric, or a wrapping glove, but I'll put the link to all these products in the description below. This step's really important when you're using a felt block, a glove, or a piece of material, or your thumb to rub over the edges of the door. You need to make sure that you're not using too much of an angle, and the reason being is if I was to use too much of an angle, I end up with a bubble on the edge of the door. What I need to do is start gradual, and each pass I'm going to increase the angle of the squeegee so that this edge here is really nice and tight. And then I'm going to use the squeegee one more time, fully flat on the edge of the door. Now I can check with my fingers that there's no air trapped between this top section and this side section here. Once we've folded this edge of the door, we're going to fold this overlapping section around onto the side of the door. We can use our thumb to do this. And we're going to press nice and tight and give that a good stick down. We then need to cut from the point of the triangled overlap back towards the edge of the door. You need to be careful on this section that you don't cut too far, so knife control is really important. And to make the next step easier, I like to cut this bit of excess off. So I'm going to start from the point of that corner and cut back inwards towards this edge of the door. If you want to neaten this overlap up, if it's in a visible space, you can cut down and remove some of the excess. We're going to repeat that for this corner of the door and then on the opposite side of the door as well. Now that we've wrapped all the sides of the doors, we can flip the door over and work on folding the excess onto the back of the door. Again, we're going to repeat the process. Felt squeegee, gradual strokes, increasing the angle until we've wrapped that excess onto the back of the door. So run down onto the back of the door. And you can use your thumb or your squeegee to secure that vinyl onto the back of the door. And the final step is to use a cutting guide. We use the Wizard Pro Tools Trim Wizard. You can use any cutting guide for the back of the door. And we've just set ours at 10 millimeters. I'm going to put that against the door and run our knife against it. And then we can remove the excess and we're left with a really neat 10mm edge on the back of the door. And the reason that we have a 10mm edge on the back of the door is it prevents anyone picking at it when you're opening the cabinet doors. And it's a little bit of protection from any humidity and steam from the kettle, hob, air fryer, any appliance in the kitchen. We're going to go around and repeat the process for every edge of the door. We're going to start at the tops and the bottoms. Same again, gradual strokes. As you get faster, you'll be able to do this quicker. Use my thumb there, but you can also use your squeegee. Trim Wizard onto the back of the door. We're going to hold our knife nice and secure. If we're not comfortable dragging, we can cut and move until we're more comfortable holding the position as we're going down. We're going to then remove excess and start the side of the door. Same again, gradually going over the edges of the door. Use our finger and the squeegee, nice and firm. Trim Wizard on. Drag down. Remove the excess and cut out our hinge holes. Very last one. Open onto the back of the door. Bit of firm pressure, seal that in. Trim Wizard, run that down, pick up the excess and peel off. And last but not least, we're going to use our heat gun and we're just going to seal the edges. It just heats them up, makes them a little bit more pliable for just a second, and we can apply a bit of pressure to them. And what it's going to do is it's just going to speed up the adhesion arc of the vinyl and make sure that it's stuck in place. And a lot of the time when you heat the vinyl, if you heat it and it starts to peel, you know that it's not stuck down very well. There's a couple of reasons for that. It could mean that it's not been stuck down properly, you've not applied enough pressure, or it could be that the substrate wasn't clean or primed. And there we have it, a completely wrapped door, front, sides, and 10mm onto the backs of the door. If there's any other wrapping videos that you'd like to see, drop a comment below. If there's anything that you'd do any different, let us know in the comments below as well. And if you did like it, please like, share, and subscribe. It makes a huge difference to the channel and it allows us to make more videos just like this.